Shalom to my brothers and sisters who are called the bride of the Lamb, and shalom, shalom to the scattered Hebrew Israelites, for you are called the bride of Yahuwah. Now, today, hopefully, this video will be short and straight to the point, because as you saw in the title, let me get my title page so you can see this. My brothers and sisters, we have hardcore proof evidence that proves the existence of the 13th month of the Most High calendar, which confirmed what was written in 2nd Enoch. Remember, it had just came to my knowledge, there are a total of 3 Enoch. But the one I'm talking about is 2nd Enoch and also 1st Enoch, because you need the 1st and 2nd to understand the heavens when it comes to the lights. Because as is written in Genesis chapter 1:14, Yahuwah said himself that these lights in the firmament of the heaven shall be for signs, for seasons, for days, for years. In other words, they are your time indicators. They tells you when the day beginning end, when the month beginning end, and when the year beginning end. They also tell you when the seasons begin and end. Okay? And they also give you what day is ordinary unto Yahuwah and what day is ordinary and what days are holy and sanctified unto Yahuwah. Okay? Now, this goes back into the year of 2015 to 2016. Now, this not only pertains to some of the Hebrew Israelite camps, this go for all, because I have came across Israelites and Gentiles who deny the 13th month when the heavens produce the evidence for those who keep a record. This is why it's so important to write these things down. And yes, the Bible calls those a fool who don't keep up with time. Yes, it's in the scriptures. Hopefully, if I have time, I can find that scripture for you. But if not, I will post it in the video description box. And speaking of the video description box, when you have a chance, please check it out. For first thing first, Yahuwah has a prophetic message. He has a message to the 12 tribes of Israel. And what you see here, this is what I did, my brothers and sisters. I print out his messages. And let me get up a little bit higher so you can see what I did. And I put it in a nice report book. And this is what I hand out to my brothers and sisters. That's a message to the 12 tribes. Let me go to the next page so you can see this. I'm trying to go to the next page. Hold on. It's going to take me a while to get there. He also has a message to the 10 lost tribes known as the Northern Kingdom. And he has another message to the bride of the Lamb. This is very important. Okay. And to you Gentiles, what goes for the Israelites goes for you when it's dealing with keeping the covenant. Okay. Because as when you read in Torah, you will see that those who want to sojourn with Israel or dwell among the Israelites, they must take a hold of the covenant, and they must be under the same law as the Israelites are. It's there. Same thing in the new covenant. And when you look at the description of the new covenant, look who partakes in the new covenant. In the new covenant that the Messiah has established for us now, this is the covenant we are in now. We have Israelites, Gentiles, males, females, bond, free men, circumcised and uncircumcised, Scythians, barbarians, and all those who receive the Messiah. Because many do not understand this new covenant. They are often getting confused with the eternal covenant that will be made with the house of Judah or the kingdom of Judah and the house of Israel or the kingdom of Israel. Please go back and study the Old Testament and New Testament, and you will see the difference between these covenants. Because one of the big difference in this new covenant we are in, the Messiah said we shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. When you understand what that means, and you understand who is the temple now, because we don't have a temple in the earthly realm, then you will see the difference. Okay? Again, we have to understand what was, what is, and what is yet to come. But the third message in Yahuwah prophetic message is to the bride of the Lamb. Please read that. It's titled, I'm Coming to You. So that's what my mission is. I'm on a mission to get this message out. I have been to my brothers and sisters to also get this message out. But you know how it is, because the word is true. The words say that they will not hear his voice. They will not be obedient when he speaks, because he's going to speak and tell them the truth. And you'll see what I mean when you read and hear this message. Because Yahuwah himself tells the Israelites who are the Jews and who are the Gentiles. It's in there. But many rejects it because it don't fit according to their agenda. Okay? All right. The next thing you see before you is the salvation cards. Again, my brothers and sisters, I'm on a mission to do my Father's will. Now, I do ask you to forgive me because I did make some updates to the card, because now I'm going with the spelling of our Father name with YHUH. And when you study about language and letters, you'll understand why. But that's for another video, another time. But right now, I do have a printer now, but I'm working on how to use it. So this is why you don't see an updated version of my of the salvation card that the Father has put in my heart to give out to my brothers and sisters. So after reading Yahuwah prophetic message and knowing that 1611 Bible, he is calling out to the Hebrew Israelites. Today, the Gentiles or heathens call us Jews, okay? He is also calling out to the Gentiles, because when you watch the video on my channel, it explains who makes up the congregation of Israel. For the Christians been taught wrong, and some of the Hebrew Israelites refuse to look at the truth. Okay, when you have some time, watch that video. But when you learn that the bride/church has always been the congregation of Israel, it has not been replaced by Christians. No, never been replaced. You got to understand the old to understand the new. When you understand who is the bride/church, when you understand who that truly is by the word of the Most High, you will not be deceived by these false doctrines. So, FYI, the bride/church today is still the congregation of Israel. But we got to learn who makes up that congregation. It's in his word. Okay. Next thing is we in the 12th month of the Most High calendar. And Purim will be coming up on the 14th day and the 15th day of the moon of the Most High calendar. And I do have the days of the sun and the days on the Gregorian calendar when that falls. Shalom. So in the video description box, click on the link to get access to the Most High calendar that is free. Remember, it is based on Genesis chapter 1 verse 14. These lights tell us about when his holy days are. And the calendar must have these three lights. Is that if it does not have the record of the sun, the record of the moon, and the record of Mazarah, in Hebrew it means the 12 signs, and the Gentile call it the zodiac. Even Josephus talk about this. If no one calendar have those records of those three lights, it is not complete. This is what Yahuwah has taught me. Okay. So we cannot call the calendar lunar calendar, solar calendar. We must address the calendar for what it is. It is made up of those three lights. Okay. Now back to the salvation card. So as you see here, our Father in heaven are calling Israelites and Gentiles. He's going to do the same thing like he did in the old. All right. And on the salvation card, I put a question on for my brothers and sisters to think about, because one of the most questions we should ask, Have they received salvation and baptism? See, a lot of us don't know what salvation is. See, the book of Luke, the book of Psalms, and many other scriptures tell us what is salvation. So my question is to you is, what is the salvation and righteousness of Yahuwah? That's a spiritual mystery in there. It's a simple mystery because the Spirit of the Most High will teach you, because it's not really a what, it's something else. Understand that. Then you will understand 1 Peter chapter 3 of why the wife can win her husband over in conversation. It has nothing to do with her gender. It has nothing to do with her flesh. It's dealing with something spiritual that is hidden, but can be seen if you have the spiritual eyes. But let us keep going. The second question that I put to my brothers and sisters are, do you know where your soul would be in the kingdom of heaven? And I do put hell because a lot of people don't understand what Sheol is. The Messiah talks about it. It's in the books of the Old Testament, especially the book of Psalms, Ephesians, and Peter's too. And if you ever read the book by Pontius Pilate, I forgot what's another name for it. It goes in deep details. That book is listed under the channel under Sheol during the time when we had Passover last year, where you can get more insight. And I do put the links of these books, and they are free, so you can read them for yourself. Okay, but let us keep going. So I give further instructions about, how they can learn more about the Messiah, but most importantly, how they can receive salvation is right there on the card. Is also give them the link to the 1611 Bible, which is free. It has my contact information, and then it also give another spiritual message, because we do not understand what it means to be the children of light. It goes very deep, my brothers and sisters, because in the Hebrew tongue, we are called Mashiach Nazarene. Today, in the English tongue, they would say, I hope I pronounce it correct, right? Messianic Nazarene. See, in the Hebrew tongue, we don't have a word for Christian. See, the word Christian came from Christianity, which is a Greek word, but that word would not translate back into the Hebrew that I have researched thus far. So this is why I recognize myself as a Mashiachim Nazarene, which basically means that we follow the Messiah. Okay? So this is something that the Most High had put in my heart to do. You can also make up salvation cards. This is a perfect tool to hand out to many Israelites and Gentiles, especially when you don't have a lot of time to talk to them, but at least it'll get their attention. And for those who are sincere and true and receiving salvation, then they will contact you. All right. Sorry about that. Had to get that out. Now back to the topic on hand. To all that denies the 13th month, the proof. So I am so thankful that the Most High has given us the heavenly and the carnal proof now. This is why it's so important to keep a record of the Most High calendar. Okay? Because no matter how many times I go to my brothers and sisters about the 13th moon, you still gonna have the naysayers. And probably even after this video, they still gonna deny, even though the proof is right there before their eyes. So if they deny this time, guess what? It's on them. It is between them and the Most High. I have done my part. I have provided the concrete evidence that cannot be denied. So while I wait for my computer to come up, I'm going to give you a little history. In the year of 2015 to 2016, that is the year when we had a 13th moon. Many of my brothers and sisters who are Israelites did not follow through with keeping a 13th month. Instead, it only kept a 12th month. Now, this is simple math, and which cannot be denied. It's simple math. How many days does the moon circuit has in this year? It can have 354 to 355. Okay. Therefore, we all know that the moon circuit does not equal the same amount of days in the sun circuit, right? So how many days a sun circuit can have? When you are following the sun and you're keeping up with the sun, you will learn, and according to the prophet Enoch, the sun will have 365.25 days. Now, according to the law of heaven, that 0.25 would not be added until the fourth year of the sun. So in the fourth year of the sun, it would be 366. Now keep in mind, the Father want me to remind you that the Gregorian calendar do not follow this formula correctly. They are on their own agenda. They do not follow the circuits of the heavens. And when you keep a record and you know their history, you will learn it does not match up to the Most High calendar. It is completely opposite, okay? Another thing he want me to remind you, when you look at the Most High calendar, when you go to it, you may see my Sabbath, not my Sabbath day, but his Sabbath day not being as the same as the Gregorian calendar, okay? You're going to have to seek Yahuwah on this, but I'm going to have to give you the straight up information. But I want you to do your due diligence, and I want you to seek out Yahuwah for the confirmation, just as I did. I was in the same position as you, my brothers and sisters. Here it come up. The Sabbath day is determined by the heavens. Number one, when you look at the Gregorian calendar, the Judean calendar, and the ancient Roman calendar, you will learn they have so many errors in their calendar. But here's one of the biggest errors that cannot be refuted. For those who are good in math, according to their weekly format, it is a continuous 7 days. That means nonstop. And for every 7 days, you have a week. Where in Italy, which is Rome, and we know Rome is the wounded head on the beast, okay? They realized they was 10 days behind the sun circuit. So they was losing time. Therefore, they had to play catch up. So when they made a correction, this is the error that they did. They started on a Friday. That's a no-no. They should start it on a Monday. They was 10 days behind. When you do the math, go down each column. Each number should be an addition of 7. So even if they skip a day, for example, Monday was the first of the month, right? That way in the next week of Monday, it'll be what? The 8, 7 plus 8. And then in the next week after that, 8 plus 7, that Monday would be day 15. Then add 7 to day 15. And the next week, it would be what? Day 22. And then it starts all over again, when you have another month. That's what I'm talking about. So when they made the correction, go down the column and see each number is an addition of 7. And you will find it is not. So when the Father showed that error to me, I said, Father, what they did, they threw off their own weekly format. They got you on the wrong day of the week. Okay, that's done with the day of the sun. So I said, Father, how do we know what is your true Sabbath day? So he took me back to Genesis and he gave me the proof. The proof is in Torah. The proof is in his prophets. The proof is also in the gospel. The proof can be found in the book of Jubilees and also in the work of Josephus. And remember, when you read the work of Josephus, he left us crudes because the Gentiles, when they translated his book, you know how the Gentiles are. There's a lot of things they didn't understand, so they put their own perception on certain things. But there are clues, and I found at least 4 proof that's concrete. For example, the sheep weight offering is always on a big 16, always, which makes sense because that's the first fruit of the barley harvest. Which the carnal go in hand with the spiritual because that's the day when the Messiah arose. And it's another mystery that happened on Abib 14. You have a day to happen within a day, which fulfilled the 3 days and 3 nights. Remember, time is different for Yahuwah. He's the one that makes the rules. And when you study about time with him, for example, I'll give this to you and then we'll go on to the topic. When Moses went on the mountain for 40 days, for 40 nights, notice that in day 1, when he went up there, he went up they're after the morning activity. So it was not exactly what 12 hours of daylight, but yet Yahuwah unto him counted as a day. So this is what I'm telling you. We have to learn what Yahuwah says counts. It does not fit according to man's descriptions. Okay, so just go out, and observe the heavens. You can see that, in the springtime, when we get to the equinox, daylight is about equal to night, but then daylight becomes longer, it becomes shorter. So this is what I'm telling you. Yahuwah decides what is what. We don't. So we have to learn that. So let's get on the topic at hand. I do apologize because I can keep talking about this, because as you can see, the calendar is my passion. So on the Most High calendar, which is free unto you, my brothers and sisters, this is no charge. Print this out, and you can play with the settings to get this printed out on about 1 to 2 pages. Okay. But in the year of 2015 to 2016, that is the year when we had a 13th moon. And when you understand Enoch's formula, the moon would do this in the 3rd, 5th, and 8th year, and then it starts all over again. It's just like a clock, like circuits. Okay. So when that happened, it did it in the 8th cycle, okay, of the 358. And it was the 6th-fold of the 7th-fold in 19 years, because the prophet Enoch would teach you that the moon would produce, the heavens would produce an extra moon 7 times in 19 years. And all you have to do is keep a record and you will see it. You will see it. Okay. This is why it's important for us to write these things out so we can see the evidence and understand what his prophets is saying unto us. Now, I'm not going to identify the camps, but you know who you are. Some of the big boys as well as some of the little boys. Okay. You have your records and you know who you are. And all we have to do, and this is what I love about the Father, he has grace and mercy. All we have to do is repent. Remember in the book of Acts chapter 17, Yahuwah said he what? He winked at our ignorance. Also is written in Torah that we have what? A sin of ignorance. And there was things that we did that we presented unto the Father for sins we committed out of ignorance. See, Yahuwah know our heart. He know we want to keep his calendar according to he has instructed us. But the 4th beast has set snares in our path to prevent us to do so. So Yahuwah made a better way for us to keep a covenant. We can repent and say, Father, I am sorry. I truly thought in my heart that what we was following was right, but I see I made a mistake. Just repent and be honest with your brothers and sisters. Okay. Now going back to the math. So when we compare the moon circuit to the sun circuit, we see that the moon is about 10 to 11 days shorter than the sun. So write this out. If the moon is 10 to 11 days shorter than the sun, will not the moon year start earlier than the sun? Okay? Because if the sun year is longer than the moon, what is going to happen of each year of the moon? It's going to start earlier and earlier than the sun. All right. So when that happened, guess what? Yahuwah was always step ahead. He provided a 13th month to get the moon back in alignment, because we know that the sun works with Mazaroth to tell us when the season beginning end. Therefore, we can have Passover to start in the correct season, Pentecost to start in the correct season, and the Feast of Tabernacles to start in the correct season, because this is all dealing with what? Agriculture and harvest. Everything has to be aligned. The carnal go in hand with the spiritual, just as the earth go in hand with the heavens. We can see evidence displayed in both of these realms. Get with farmers. Understand these things, my brothers and sisters. Remember, we have been in captivity and so much stuff has been taken away from us, which fulfill his word, because he said he would do this. But now Yahuwah is bringing us back into his truth. Okay? He is bringing us back into his knowledge, his understanding, and his wisdom. And it's not going to be like what the heathens have taught us. Now, the heathens may have some truth, but you have to have the spirit of Yahuwah to discern what is true and what is not, because we can see the heathens even taking some of the Most High divine laws and incorporating that into their own governments. And Josephus talks about this. That would intrigue the heathens, okay, to us, because they was amazed of how divining and how oily our government was, because all these things came from heaven, not from man. See, Israelites, we have a job to do. We are the servants of Yahuwah. We are the light. We was to draw mankind back to Yahuwah. We was to draw Adam, which is Adam, back to Yahuwah, Israelites. But because we were in the flesh, we fell too. Okay, now let me scroll down. Let's see here to this part here, what I want to show you. So this is the 12th month. I'm going to bring this in closer so you can see. Again, if you cannot see this on your screen, just click on the link that said 12th new moon, and you can see it for yourself. Okay. This is the 12th month right here. And notice that the 12th month has started in February the 5th at sundown, ended on February the 6th at sundown. That's the first day of the new moon. So the way things are going in this calendar month, depending when the new moon show again, the last day would be on March the 5th at sundown to March the 6th at sundown. Okay, so the new moon may start on March the 6th at sundown or March the 7th at sundown. All right, and here's how one of the signs that I know that we have to add a 13th month, or that the heavens produce a 13th month, is what was written in Jubilees. Jubilees say that those who observe the heavens or keep a record would notice that the moon would come in 10 days too soon. 10 days too soon to what? It's talking about Tequifar, which is the equinox. That means when the sun enter into the sign of Mazzaroth. All right. So, according to Enoch, when sun enter Aries, that would be the last day of the sun's 12th month. All right. So the next day of the sun would be the first day of the sun's first month. If the moon is 10 days, if the moon month starts 10 days or more before that equinox day, that's how we know the heavens has produced a 13th moon. That's one of the signs we use to determine when this happened. Now, the Father just remind me of something that I just left out. Give me 1 second. I'll bring it up. That's what it was, he told me. So what I've been doing, I've been keeping a record too of when the 12th month fathers know what month they are in. So, Yahuwah calendar, we are in the 12th month of his calendar. And because they did not add a 13th month in the year of 2015 to 2016, they are in their first month. And we are still in winter. How do we know we are in winter? Again, the sun works with Mazzaroth. And when the sun enters into certain signs of Mazzaroth, this is how we know we are still in winter, spring, summer, or fall. So we are still in winter. Now, do not let the weather deceive you, because even Enoch talked about those things in the Bible, of things being out of season, out of order. Because over here in America, and I think this happened about 2 weeks ago, everybody was going by this Groundhog Day. And I said, I don't go by that. I go by what the word tell me. So people say spring's coming in early. I said, do not be deceived. That's what I told people. Do not be deceived. because they were saying because of the groundhog, spring was coming in early. I said, do not be deceived. Winter has not completed yet. The sun has not entered into the first sign of Mazzaroth that the Gentile call Aries. Okay? Until the sun has done so, expect us to still get cold weather. In some places, even expect snow to still come. Even in the work of Josephus, the Romans would account how they were still in winter in the month of February. The evidence is there. So, guess what happened? We had a day of warm weather, and the following days to come, we've been back in cold weather. So, do not be deceived by the weather. We have to follow the heavens and to understand what season we should be in. Okay? All right. So, in my calendar record, this is the proof I have unto you, and I have the other prior years too. But those who did not add a 13th moon in the year of 2015 to 2016, they are now in their first month, which they will call Aviv. But notice this now. I'm going to bring this in closer. How can you have Aviv on February the 5th at sundown to February the 6th at sundown, your first day of Aviv, when you are still in winter? You are still in winter. And I know some of them going to lie and deny, say, no, we are in the right month. And what I mean by lying and what I mean by saying they're going to say we in the right month. What they're going to do, they're going to somehow manipulate their records or their videos and say that we're not in the first month, we're in the 12th month now. They're going to do it and not just be honest and tell you we made a mistake. And I think that's very sad. But you don't know who have a copy of your records. You don't know who have a copy of your videos. So beware. I'm warning you now. Beware before coming out with a lie, because you don't know who's been keeping a record on you. Beware. Because the Most High will bring what's done in the dark and into the light. Now, as far as math, we just talked about that, but it's put in my heart to go over it again. So I'm going to write it out for you. So, the moon can have 354, 355. The sun, I'm going to deal with whole numbers, not going to deal with the decimal point, can have 365 or 366. So when you look at these numbers, you can have somewhere between 10 to 11 days, maybe 12 too, that you can have the moon to start early. And it's going to add every year. That's what Enoch was talking about, that it can have 30 days. It can be 30 days ahead, 50 days ahead. And when it get in this 8th year, it can have a total of 80 days ahead. Now, because we are keeping a record now, you might notice extra days like 33, 55, or 88. Again, that is because his was based on when everything was perfect. When the moon had a total of 360 days and the sun had a total of 364, but that was changed. And I believe that had to reflect on the number of books he wrote and the day when he was taken into the heavens. That was one of the reasons. Another reason is that we can look at Hezekiah. Time was affected there too. That's in the 1611 Bible. And you have to look at other biblical events that affected time. But to confirm what I'm saying, just keep a record. Go out and observe the heavens. You can keep up with what time this daylight appear to what time daylight end, or to what time the sun rise to what time the sun set. Go out there and just keep a record, and it will confirm what second Enoch, what Enoch's written in the second book, that the sun year does have 365 and a quarter, but that quarter will not be added into the fourth year, and then you'll have a total of 366. These are the laws of heaven. So this is this simple math. It's very simple math. I know some of my brothers and sisters may not be good in math, but find someone who is good in math that is honest and true, and search these things out. And for those who want to get more understanding about his calendar, there are a video playlist on the channel. If that doesn't help, you can email me at followingthemessiah@378@gmail.com, because I did not get this overnight, my brothers and sisters. Yahuwah had to teach me. And when I first read Enoch, I didn't understand it right away, but Yahuwah had to open my understanding. And when he did, I realized that it does align up with the King James 16:11. It does. And I learned that those who turn you away from it, either they lack the understanding, or they trying to keep you under their agenda and to deter you from Yahuwah's will, which is very sad, but we have that today. Okay. I hope this was helpful to you. I hope you learn something from this, because with me, I'm always learning too myself. And also, you might see here, I also keep a record of Brother Yahusha, what he's doing too. But even too, in his records, I have found some calculation errors of the 358 cycle. It's not matching up. But anyway, that's in other videos that I did. But what he has provided helped out too, because it confirmed what Yahuwah was teaching me too on some of the things that he shared. I'm not saying everything he said is correct, okay, but some of the things that he shared did align up with what the prophet Enoch said. But you have to do your due diligence, my brothers and sisters. You have to seek out Yahuwah for yourself to get the correct answer. Don't follow man. Even me, don't follow me. Follow the Spirit. Read 1 John chapter 2, verse 27, and John chapter 14 to John chapter 16, and you will learn, for those who receive the new covenant and don't reject it, his Spirit will now teach you, not the Levites, because they have a judgment set against them. Read Ezekiel chapter 43. And not the kings, because the kings also led the nation of Israel from him. So this is another reason why the Messiah had to establish a new covenant, because the Father did not want flesh to mislead you. He now gave you his Spirit so you will not be misled. All right. Continue to preach the gospel that the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Make sure the people receive salvation as written in Romans chapter 10. Hint, hint. Make some salvation cards. Get it out. Also print out YAHUAH prophetic messages and get that out. Okay. We got a job to do. We got a mission. We got to let the Israelites and Gentiles know the Most High message and his instructions on what to do in these last days. Okay. And make sure the people receive the water baptism and the Holy Spirit baptism, because the Lamb set the example. Because when you understand about regeneration, there's three parts. He said we be born of the water and of the Spirit. And the third part dealing with what he is redeeming us back to the status of Adam. And the status of Adam is that we shall be what? The sons and daughters of God. When you understand what that is, then you will understand the difference between the three groups. That is the bride of the Messiah. That's one group. The 144,000. That's the second group. And the third group is the nation of Israel. Two of these groups will be redeemed from the earth because they have a higher part to play. Okay. And the third group shall remain in the earth because they have a part to play with the last wicked one to come. A mystery that, well, it's not a mystery, but it's a thing, but it will be revealed by the Spirit to understand the difference between these three groups. And one of the things to look at is which group will have the circumcision of the heart and be born of the Spirit versus which group will have a hardened heart and not born of the Spirit. And this is how you will understand the difference between these three groups, and also understand the new covenant. And he do want me to mention this to you. It is written in his word. He says this. He has written the new covenant. He has given the new covenant because you are in the fourth beast kingdom, known as Rome, which is the wounded head on the beast. And Rome is under the reign of my brother Esau, and the other nations have joined themselves unto him. Okay? As written in 2nd Ezra chapter 6, and also when you read 2nd Ezra chapter 15, 16, Revelation chapter 13, and so forth. Okay? He knew of the fourth beast snares and trap. He knew that they will do the same thing as Antiochus IV Epiphanes. They would keep us from keeping the covenant perfectly. In other words, you can't cross every T and dot every I. So in order to keep Torah now in spirit and in truth, he had to establish a new covenant. But we don't keep it by our hand. In other words, we don't keep it by our righteousness. We keep it by the one who dwells in us. He who dwells in us make us sanctified, holy, and which is hollow unto the Father. Because of him who dwells in us, then the Father can receive us. This is why you have the circumcised and uncircumcised in the bride of the Lamb. This is why you have males and females. This is why you have Israelites and Gentiles. When we understand these spiritual things, we will have a greater appreciation for what our Father did, because he gave us the highest sacrifice that he gave unto us. For he loved you, Adam. He loves you, Israelites. That he's giving you his best. He's fighting for you because he's telling you, you do not belong to Satan. I did not create you to be Satan's servants, to be servants of sins, and to receive death. I made you to have eternal life and to be in my image, to walk like me, think like me, talk like me. And he's fighting for you. And he's giving you everything he got. But all you have to do is unharden your heart and receive him. And he would do the rest. He would clean you. And whatever sin that you have a problem, ask him in his son's name, and he will remove it. All right, I preached enough. I said enough. I love you all, and shalom. And do you understand who that peace is? Read Matthew chapter 10, verse 12 to 13, and Matthew chapter 28, verse 20. And the Hebrew letters are listed in Psalms chapter 119. Shalom.